guys, welcome back and thanks so much for joining me for today's video, which is going to be all about how I stay stylish on a budget. In particular, I'm going to be throwing it back to when I was a student at the London College of Fashion and how I budgeted and how I could afford to stay fashionable as a student. Today's video is in collaboration with NatWest. I have been banking with them for nearly 10 years, so thank you to them for sponsoring today's video. And without further ado, let's get started. So my first tip is all around being a savvy shopper. When you're at university, you're meeting lots of new people, you want to make a great first impression, but you don't want to spend hundreds or thousands of pounds on a whole new wardrobe. So for that reason, I love buying dupes. You guys already know this if you've watched my videos in the past, but I have a few go-to websites including Shein, Mango, Zara. I think when I was a student, probably 90% of my wardrobe was from Zara, and they have so many fabulous dupes. You can get a really high fashion look, but at a fraction of the price. Of course, along those same lines, getting the high fashion look for less is keeping your eye on the sale rail. There's often really good bargains to be had. Places like Topshop, they've got the last chance to buy rail, and I always had my eye on places like that for picking up some fashion bargains. A lot of stores as well offer very generous student discounts, so make sure that you are fully swatted up on what kind of discounts are available to you. And that ranges from clothes stores to places where you can eat, places where you can buy makeup. The lists are endless, so definitely make sure you are very up to date with your student discounts. My second tip would be to get a fashion job. So when I started at the London College of Fashion, I actually came to London for a day trip a couple of weeks before term started because I knew that especially in London, the jobs are going to be really competitive and I wanted to beat the crowds. So I definitely recommend doing something along these lines. So I came to London 2 weeks before my course started, armed with folders full of CVs and cover letters, and I went around to all my favourite stores and handed them in. So by the time term came round, I was already employed by Topshop in Knightsbridge, and that meant I could get a staff discount. I already had a group of girls that I knew in the area from working there, and on that note, working in retail is just an amazing way to make friends. I've got friends for life, girls that I worked with at places like Topshop and Reiss, so highly recommend getting yourself a fashion job for the discount, for the free clothes, and just for the lifestyle and the friends that you make as well. I would, however, say that the one downside to getting a job in retail, especially as a fashion student, is that of course you get to see all the latest styles as soon as they're released, so it can be very tempting to put your paycheck straight back into the store. So self-control is definitely something to practice if you do get a job in retail. My third tip is all about being aware of your finances, and this is where NatWest comes in. So when I was a student, and now to this day, their mobile banking app can be a bit of a lifesaver. So of course you want to make sure that you're aware of what's coming in and more importantly what's going out of your bank account, just to make sure you stay within your limits. What I find really useful is just keeping an eye on the transactions. It can help make you a little bit more aware of where you might be overspending, perhaps that £5 coffee every day or that £40 bill at the burger restaurant on a Friday. Just helps you be a little bit more aware of your finances so that when you're shopping you know exactly how much you've got to spend. Other perks of the app include you can use a service called Get Cash to withdraw cash. I think it's up to £130, and let me tell you from experience that is a major lifesaver, perhaps on nights out, things like that. Also, if you're out with your friends and someone owes you a round of drinks, you can easily transfer money between bank accounts just using a mobile phone number. That's another really handy service. And for your own bank accounts as well, if you do need to dip into your savings or transfer money between accounts, you can do that really quickly and easily, all on the mobile banking app. Other benefits of having a NatWest student account include their coach card, gives you a third off loads of different transports. Perhaps if you're going back to see your parents if they live far away, or you just want to go on a day trip, you can save up to a third on travel. And then finally, their overdraft service, which means that as a student you can get an interest-free overdraft. It's up to £500 in term one and then up to £2,000 in the subsequent terms. And this just comes in really handy, especially if you just need to help tie ends together between payday and your shopping trip. My next tip would be to be sewing machine savvy. So for me, this meant spending a little bit of extra time with my mum, watching her as she would take up my trousers, take in my tops and dresses, because if you've got the skills to take in your clothing, then it means you don't need to spend money taking them to a tailor. It means you can buy more affordable clothes and make them fit you better, which makes them look so much more expensive. I actually shared a few more tips on how to get a little bit more of a luxury look to your wardrobe without spending all of your pennies in a video I did last week. So I'm gonna leave that one on the screen if you want to know more about how to make your outfits look more expensive. but definitely being sewing machine savvy saved me a lot of money when I was at university. I would even go to shops and take close-up pictures of garments and try and recreate them myself. I actually recreated an Alice Templey wedding dress I wanted to wear to one of my proms, and that saved me a few £1000s. So while I don't recommend going to those extremes, just knowing how to take your clothes in and make little DIY alterations is definitely a handy skill to have. Tip number 5 is to always keep your shopping receipts and keep the tags on your clothes at least for a month after you buy them. So for me, I have this little rule that if I don't wear things within 3 weeks of buying them, then chances are I'm not going to wear them. So I had this section in my wardrobe, or I think I had a clothes rail in my first uni room, and I would always put my new things to one end of the rail. If after a few weeks I noticed that something was still there, unworn, then I would take it back, because in my head that meant that I was not going to wear it. When it comes to buying things that you don't need, I also had another rule in my head while I was shopping, and that was if you can think of 3 reasons why you shouldn't buy something, then you shouldn't. So these reasons could be that you can't afford it, that you think it's not going to be in trend for very long, or maybe your best friend has something similar that you can borrow. If you can think of 3 reasons, then chances are it's not to be. So that's another way to be a savvy shopper when you're a student. And then finally, I would advise making the most of samples. So I was very thrifty when I was a student, and I was quite lucky in that my campus was actually in the centre of London, so I made the most of when they hand out free things on the street, which yes, it really does happen in London. Sometimes you can get like proper full-size packets of simple face wipes, for example, free chocolate bars, things like that. But also makeup counters are really generous at giving you samples in the hope that you will try before you buy. Sometimes when I needed to make ends meet and I'd run out of foundation, I would go to the beauty counters and ask for a sample. Same applies for things like serums, moisturizers. Always keep hold of these little magazine sachets. I actually have a shoebox under my bed filled with travel minis that I've picked up from all kinds of places, and they come in so handy. So those are my top tips for how to be stylish on a budget, and a few ways that I budgeted as a student. So I really hope you guys found this video useful and that you picked up a few tips. I'm sure you guys have got loads of tips as well, so please share your tips on budgeting in the comment section down below. I will really enjoy reading through them, and hopefully by sharing then you guys will also get to learn from each other, which would be fabulous. If you enjoyed this video, then please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new. And that's all from me, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!